Hi, I'm Don Mecoy. I'm a business news reporter for the Oklahoman, and today we're at the Opubco studios, and we're talking about personal finance. And joining us today is Sue Lynn Sasser. Sue Lynn is an economics professor at the University of Central Oklahoma and executive director for the Oklahoma Council on Economic Education.
That's right. Thank you, Don.
Well, thanks for being here today. I know you've done a lot of work on the legislation having to do with financial literacy classes being taught in mid-highs and high schools. And so I was just interested in your take on where you think we are today with financial literacy among our young adults and our teenagers.
Well, we're certainly making progress, knowing that House Bill 1476 was passed almost exactly a year ago. Of course, we've had this 1 year of implementation and to develop the standards, and we're currently working on what we call the student modules and the teacher training. All of that will be ready to roll out on July the 1st, and so we certainly are making progress. And at least we are raising awareness of the need for our kids to better understand personal finance.
Because some of the testing that's been done among youth, the results haven't been very encouraging, have they?
Well, they've stayed pretty steady in the 50s, you know, on a scale of 100. And no, that's not real encouraging. But then again, life is rather complicated. And if students are never taught a lot of those complicated processes, as far as compounding interest and the difference between that and simple interest and whatever, I mean, there's no way for us to know. It's like anything else. If we're not taught, we don't learn.
Right. And you teach introductory courses in economics at UCO. Talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you see, some of the concepts that some of your students have trouble grasping.
Well, interestingly, I guess interest rates were on my mind because we talked about interest rates in class last night. How do banks set interest rates? Why do banks charge fees? What's the difference in a loan from a bank, a loan from a credit union, and a loan basically on a credit card? There's all kinds of different ways of accessing money, and how do we do that? And some of these are even juniors and seniors that have waited to the last minute to take their economics class, and they still have a very limited understanding of the whole financial side.
Well, do you think that instituting some of this curriculum in the mid-high and high school is going to have an impact in these students' lives down the road?
Oh, it should. Research shows time and time again that when students are taught, they learn, and that's to me the greatest benefit that it really does work when teachers are prepared. And that's one of the key, is that you work with the teachers, make sure the teachers have the materials they need and have the background they need. Then they're eager to take it into that classroom, and those kids respond. And so I think we can start to see, probably in the next 3 to 5 years, some really interesting results coming out of our public schools.
Is there a hope that these students could maybe take some of this learning home with them and maybe teach their parents some concepts that they're not
I'm quite
familiar
sure
with?
it will start to raise conversations at home about money. I heard a speaker the other day that was talking about growing up in a very average middle-class family in Oklahoma, and she said, she was one of 4 daughters, and her dad's comment was, "Don't worry about money, I'll take care of things. Anytime anything came up, I'll take care of it." And that's oftentimes been the attitude, that kids shouldn't have to worry about these things. But if students are coming home and talking about it, then maybe mom and dad will open up a little bit more about some of their concerns and some of their problems, their challenges, and then parents can learn at the same time the kids are learning. Research also shows that it takes 2 to 3 generations for change to occur. So if we can do things where we get parents learning, we get students learning, then we're ahead of the curve.
So even all these dire numbers that we're hearing about levels of debt and savings, there's a chance things could get better.
Things certainly could get better. And think what would happen to the economy in Oklahoma if we no longer were in the top 10 in credit card debt per capita, if we no longer had our college students that were graduating with higher than the national average in credit card debt. Those kids wouldn't start out behind. Think also what would happen if we were no longer in the top 10 in bankruptcies. Just some financial planning and some emergency funds and knowing how to save and balance checkbooks, and watch out for those hot check charges. Just very simple things can really make a big difference in a person's life.
Well, and we're among the leaders, aren't we, in instituting these requirements for these kinds of classes?
Yes, there's about 15 states now that have passed personal finance legislation, and actually Oklahoma has one of the strongest bills because it's mandated as a requirement for graduation. Others, a course is required, but you could fail the course, or you could barely pass the course or whatever. But here we have to pass 14 specific areas that were outlined by the legislature in order for a student to graduate.
Well, that's a lot of great information. I appreciate you coming in today, Sue Lynn. If you go to the News OK website, you'll find a lot more good information about personal finance. Just check out our latest Know It feature. Have a great day.